So him on these different carries can actually take over an early game.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they can shut him down, because that Kha'Zix game was absolutely unbelievable.
Best you've ever seen?
It was, I'm not going to say it's the best I've ever seen, because I've seen a lot of Kha'Zix games, but he did such work against Giants.
Yeah, so this was just the start of it, you know. There were multiple of these where he sneaks in. This, of course, sets up Norskeren for the highlight play, and as a support, you need those. This was my favorite one. Snuck his way in between 4 members, abusing the fact that Kha'Zix ulti is extremely strong at the moment, and then he finds his way in and destroys the enemy carries. And that's how you snowball that game. That's how you get that early Baron where you don't have to win a 5-on-5 team fight against a superior composition. So let's see this draft here. Just like last game, Tristana gets banned on that blue side, or sorry, on the red side in the first phase. Olaf gets taken away against Memento. I think that does make sense. We just talked about his prowess on these early game picks. Meanwhile, for first pick, Galio is available in this draft. Xayah for Xayah Khan is also available.
Have to remember, though, that there's another impactful member on Fnatic. Broxah last week had that Baron steal against Vitality, the Elder Dragon steal as well on the Kha'Zix for himself. So we might have a battle for that jungler in this game.
Snuck his way in, stole everything away from Gileas, his Baron, his pride. And that was basically the only reason Fnatic got back in that game, to actually win it. He stole an Elder Drake later on in it. We got the Galio. I think you cannot give Galio plus Xayah Khan. That combo is just too insane when it comes to snowballing. So I think it would be smart from ROCCAT to deny the Xayah Khan, or at least the Xayah on their side. They don't have to grab Rakan just yet. You can still go for priority jungler if they're looking for that one. Zach or Sejuani or Kha'Zix, all 3 are available for Memento.
I have to see where Memento does want to go. Sejuani has been his most played, as with most junglers throughout this split. Heaq has only played 1 Xayah game thus far, but you have predicted well thus far, so I'm looking forward to your next prediction, Deficio.
See, I would love Kha'Zix from Broxah. I think Kha'Zix plus Galio is such an insane pick comp. He sneaks in, you don't see him, Galio pops down on you. Like, it's so hard to play against it, especially if the enemy team, like the Fnatic team, can actually split up the map and play multiple lanes. So I think it is a choice or an option for him. Ooh, different. There we go.
There we go.
Stick to what I'm saying, Brox. So don't try and fool me here.
Once again, good prediction, Deficio. You're on form. Have to see if that
Dare I predict a Rakan on the other side?
Yeah, well, you've already predicted Rakan, so I'm not going to give you that. Kha'Zix, Galio, very strong. Xayah, Sejuani into it. Could be a Sivir here or an AD carry picked up for Rekkles. Yeah. We've already seen the Tristana.
Or you go Alistar or Braum, because you know that's going to get banned away, most likely, if the enemy team plays Xayah Rakan. But it seems to be a preferred AD carry choice for Rekkles in the bottom lane. Caitlyn,
first time that he's played Caitlyn this split, though.
Yeah, but it's become one of the strongest picks in Europe for a lot of AD carries. And Rekkles has actually done a good job of kind of making sure he's not just playing his own little style anymore. He's actually going for the more common AD carries. Ooh, they might not go for Rakan and say, screw it. We actually want something different, because the Galio versus Corki matchup is what they're looking for. So they skip the Xayah Rakan combo, also knowing that on the other side, there would be multiple different options you could play against the Rakan in terms of melee supports. You can't ban away all of them with only 2 bans. So they actually say they're fine losing it.
And maybe force Fnatic to ban it out if they want to here.
It would be smart if Fnatic just banned it away. Don't give them everything, you know, Xayah Khan plus the Galio pick also the Corki pick into Galio. Well, so
there we are.
I think that ban is smart on their side. Tahm Kench getting taken away. Braum Caitlyn is a good lane, especially at level 6 when you connect Braum ult into trap from Cade. Like, it's hard to play against it.
It definitely is, and we've still got top laners left for both these teams as well. You know, we got Prophet, who's been incredible on the Gnar and the Ornn, but hasn't really performed on carries thus far. And then you've got sOAZ, who kind of just plays everything and plays them all to equal success.
Yeah, it's true. Prophet has definitely relied a lot more on getting early jungle attention to make sure you can play aggressive and far forward in the lane. sOAZ is the guy you leave on an island if you want to.
He's the Smitty J. He's the
Smitty J, go down 0-5 and still ends up doing something really insane for late game fights. So that's a great thing for Fnatic when they have 2 great carries and Caps and Rekkles they can rely on. Let's see what else we get here. Prophet seems to be put on a tank. They're saying, you know what, we got insane late game damage from Heaq and Blanc. They were our carries last week. Let's rely on that again. Prophet, you're just on a tank, can technically be swapped down to support, but we don't see Ornn support too often anymore. On the other side, for Fnatic, Taric is available. I want to see what else is actually up in terms of support. We have seen Janna come in from Hylissang once earlier in the split. I wasn't a big fan of it, and I don't think they need Janna here because there's so much, backline damage on ROCCAT's side.
It's going to be the Morgana instead. A lot of protection with the Blanc shield. Can make some picks with the binding as well. But looking across the rest of the team, I worry perhaps for their damage output. Although Galio on that AP Galio can put out a bit of damage.
They got Feast as well. I think it's fine. I don't think Fnatic's going to miss damage. It's a blind pick Morgana, though, on their side. And the answer from ROCCAT is going to be that Janna Xayah lane. And if you just avoid the binding, then you're by no means scared of Morgana. Because here's what happens in Morgana lanes is, especially against something like Janna or Lulu, is AD carries trade with each other. Morgana's like, I'm going to help you. Here's a black shield. Janna's like, my AD carry, I'm going to help you. Here's a shield buffing you so you deal more damage and you can actually block.
Yeah, actually gives you a shield.
It actually gives you a real shield. Because Xayah doesn't care about black shield from Morgana. So
magic damage to that shield.
This is a very, very hard matchup then suddenly to play for Rekkles because he's dealing with a Janna shield on top of the Xayah, where black shield will not help him in those AD carry trades. So I think blind picking the Morgana is risky on the side of Hylissang, but the pick potential of this Fnatic comp is pretty insane. Like, imagine the amount of chain CC you're going to have when you land a binding into a knock-up, into a trap, and all that kind of stuff.
Just as you guys know, we will have a brief delay before we enter the game. A switching of one of the monitors for one of the players. It's the same issue that caused a pause earlier, so we're going to make sure we get it all sorted before we get on into the action. However,
that's the thing about these EU players, Medic. A bunch of divas.
I can't really
Why do they want screens?
You want to have a... Yeah, I mean, you just do it blind, right? Cosplay Lee Sin, do the entire thing blind.
There's a giant screen. You can just walk off stage, look at the screen, see what's happening, go back and play.
Yeah, just predict all of the movements for the next 10 minutes to show.
And then you can't see anything.
In your day, you played with a toothpick and a bit of string, and you were happy for it.
Back then, we had to really work hard.
Let's come back to these two teams.
And it's a Rekkles screen.
You talk about the pick potential from Fnatic, you talk about ROCCAT having a strong bot lane, but what you haven't talked about and what we haven't discussed is scaling from these two teams. Last game, it was a mid-game, early-game comp versus a late-game comp. Here, it doesn't feel too cut and dry to me.
Yeah, I think there's decent scaling on both sides. I think ROCCAT's late-game comp is easier to play because on the other side with Fnatic, you have this Galio plus Kha'Zix combination where it's a lot of relying on Broxah. If he actually wants to set up the Galio ult, flank sneak his way in, Galio comes down on top of him, but that's where Janna ult, at least against the Kha'Zix, can be valuable. I think the ROCCAT comp is going to be easier to play in that regard, but the pick potential on Fnatic side, it's kind of crazy. I mentioned just before you talked about the monitors, like the amount of chain CC you can provide already early on. From binding into trap, that's enough to lock you down for, I think people in solo queue say around 20 seconds where you just can't move.
Well, it's a year, isn't it? When you get caught by Morgana binding, you can go through university, you can pay off your student debt, you can have a family, and then by the end of it, you get back on into the game.
I gotta give you credit. You managed to do a lot in a year, if that is what you managed to accomplish, based on 1 year only. But yes, you can do a lot of stuff while you're binded and then trapped.
It's true.
Follow up from that, there's chain CC from a Cho'Gath knock-up, silence, Galio, like all these kind of things. So if ROCCAT, especially in that mid game, end up getting caught out, and if Fnatic gets to go to objectives first, start them, Caitlyn traps gets put in place, you have to try and come in and stop them at an objective, you get trapped, you get hit by binding over the wall, you don't see it, something. That is super crazy. So I love the snowball potential of Fnatic's draft around Baron especially. But I think the late game teamfight of ROCCAT is just a little bit easier to execute.
Let's see if Fnatic are able to snowball. Their early game last week
It's not necessarily that you automatically lose.
Yeah.
It's just, again, coming down to how hard it is to execute the comp.
That's the thing as well. And I liked this from Fnatic because they know they're locked for playoffs. So maybe there's a little bit of them saying, we can play something a little bit harder to execute. If we do lose because we weren't able to execute on stage, that's not the end of the world. But it's good practice coming into playoffs, coming into quarters to semis, maybe even to Copenhagen as well, that they get these sorts of games under their belt.
I mean, yeah, if they lock top 2, they're guaranteed to go to Copenhagen.
It's true.
And guys, remember, you can also guarantee if you, to go to Copenhagen if you actually go buy tickets.
That's true. You also have to get flights and buses and...
Unless you're from Denmark, then you don't need a flight.
True. True.
Then you can
The logic is infallible.
You can either live in Copenhagen and walk there, or you can take a train.
Well, I mean, Denmark's pretty small, right? You could probably walk there from anywhere. Do it as a charity event.
Yes.
Maybe wear that new Galio skin with the KFC chicken.
You got me
or
there.
the BBQ chicken, or any other type of chicken that you want.
You are correct, though. It basically takes 2 hours to walk from one side of Denmark to the other side.
I gotta say that's probably not true.
Can you prove me wrong? Do you want to try and go walk from one side to the other side?
If I can do it in 2 hours, I would do it. But I have to get there.
Go try.
First. I'll try when we go to Copenhagen in a couple of weeks' time.
So we will basically tell you, Medic, you're not going to cast anything here. Start walking.
That's to be expected. But we are just waiting for that monitor to get totally fixed. It looks like Rekkles is finalizing those last couple of bits.
Oh, I'm looking at the monitor right now. It looks a little bit tilted. Could be an issue for
that. May be just your viewpoint.
Potentially. Could be
after that game, G2 versus...
yeah, because G2 was sitting on that side. They tilted the monitor.
A little bit tilted at the end.
There we go. That's why they lost the late game fights.
That would make a lot of sense. We're going to get back on into game, guys. Fnatic versus ROCCAT, final game of the day. Only 3 days left in the regular split of the EU LCS, and all still to play for.
Feels like we started yesterday.
Sadly, we didn't. It was 8 weeks ago.
8 weeks ago. Ah, Rekkles has left the game.
No, he'll be back. He'll be back, guys. Don't worry. It's like when you're duo queuing with someone and they're like, oh no, I just have to reset. It's like, no, he'll be back, guys. Don't tilt yet. Rekkles is coming back, and Fnatic are pushing down.
Oh, look, Rekkles is there with the team. Ooh, Caps is gonna be the bait. They're like, oh, Caps is gonna be like, look how dumb I am. You guys should come fight me. Oh, they're sneaking him in. He forced him back. It wasn't actually a bait. He just forced Blanc back. And now a binding, potentially into a trap. Ah. Trying again.
I don't think they are.
Oh.
I think they're backing off.
Okay.
But it was a good attempt from Fnatic, and if they had caught someone, it would be an early lead for them. We saw it work out for them last week.
Yeah.
You had the Tristana Braum jump around the backside of Vitality.
Oh, that was so cool. I like the level 1 innovative picks or styles. Sadly, right now, Youngbuck and Dylan Falco backstage, they're very unhappy because the only reason they picked Morgana was for this level 1 strategy.
Literally for the level 1 lead.
That
400 gold in a champion right there.
And it didn't work. So I guess advantage ROCCAT for now. Oh, look at Norskeren. Cleanse on his side. You know why?
Because he might get hit by a binding.
Yeah, there you go. Chain CC.
Color caster extraordinaire.
Cleanse out of the first binding so you don't get trapped right after.
So here's my achievement for the week, right? I've realized
I saw your
I should become a color caster because I'm now higher elo than Vedius.
Oh. So you're silver now. Thank you very much. Thank you. We'll be here all night.
Where are you in solo queue, Deficio?
Ah, Blue York Challenger.
Oh, sure.
Aren't we all?
Challenger.
Yeah, there you go.
So, bot lane here. ROCCAT do have the strength in the lane that we talked about. The shielding coming out from Norskeren onto Heaq.
Oh, he got binded!
The binding connected. Doesn't need to bind it. He can shield himself.
There's no trap. There's no trap. Level 2, he will cleanse it.
Okay. Hopefully he won't get hit by another one if you are a ROCCAT fan.
Ooh, but great start from Hylissang. The sniper. Oh, level 2 all in. Binding! Trap!
Ignite! The trap comes down as well. The shield, but that's not going to be enough for Heaq. He has to flash away. And ROCCAT burned the flash and the heal early on.
So no joke, this combination in solo queue, now you mentioned it before, it's insane. Because you always hit people with the bindings. They can never dodge them properly. And then you just tell your Caitlyn to put a trap at level 2 and you get kills.
Now that Jin's been buffed as well, that's an incredible combination for this as well.
True, can do that as well.
Long range binding. Lux Morgana bot lane if you really want to tilt people.
Broxah spotted right here. Good early ward from ROCCAT's side. And this bot lane here is what we're looking at. It's interesting how Norskeren got to pick the Janna against the Morgana. He got to say, okay, my AD carry is going to be super strong in 1v1 trades because I can buffer. But they lost the rush for level 2. They've been hit by 3 bindings when we've been looking, at least, from Hylissang. And it's given a huge early advantage for Fnatic's bottom lane.
That it has. And we have to see exactly how ROCCAT is able to play around this advantage for that bottom lane. Because it's 10 CS already. However, Blanc does have a 10 CS lead in the mid lane as well, Deficio.
I think a 4th binding just connected. Meanwhile, yeah, as you highlighted, Caps did go back to base early, and he didn't TP back to lane. He walked back, which is why, of course, he's at the moment down in CS.
And his early game hasn't been his strongest point in the last couple of weeks. Against Vitality, he was camped, the absolute heck out of, but he also died 3 times at 15 minutes, was behind in CS, had a negative goal differential as well.
No one stays alive. They get camped by God Gilius, that is for sure, and Caps felt that twice this split, because both games Vitality actually managed to do exactly what we see on screen here. Just chain gank Caps. Could be slightly harder in this one with the Corki in the mid lane. Not the greatest gank setup, seeing as he just kind of deals damage and nothing else.
But it has been a consistent weakness for Fnatic. I look back at Worlds, I look back at Summer Split last year as well. Caps being camped sometimes is when they lose.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It will be a problem for them 1 week, and then it won't happen for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then it will be a problem again for some reason. It's almost like Fnatic forget to ward around mid lane after a couple of weeks of Caps not dying to ganks. Top lane Memento look for something, but sOAZ will be fine, flashing away. Meanwhile, bot lane, still a giant problem. Potion is gone from Heaq. We're looking again, so every time we've been looking, Hylissang's been hitting bindings. 4 so far from what I could count. Let's see if number 5 will connect.
He's not going to throw it yet.
I don't want to take turret action just
Sense the
yet.
tension.
Oh, number 5. There we go.
Great stuff, Hylissang. I was probably too enthused by that play. It was enthusiastic.
If it's number 6, it's insane.
6 is insane.
Anyone can hit 5 bindings in a row.
That's true.
What about number 6?
That's true. Especially against Norskeren, who has been an incredibly good support thus far. Probably one of a... In the running, possibly, for Rookie of the Split, although Jizuke has quite a firm hold on that.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing.
If Jizuke didn't exist, Norskeren would be up there.
But it kind of highlights how awesome our split has been, because we've had a lot of new rookies, and I feel like a lot of them, of course, again, Jizuke being the front runner, but a lot of them kind of jumps into the conversation.
Yeah.
Sheriff lately.
Ruin.
Man, that's been great. Ruin, of course, on top side. Norskeren, as you highlighted, with support. I think it's cool to see a lot of different rookies, where last split, we had 3 rookies in the vote. That was it.
Pride did do a good job, especially towards the end of that split to win the award.
He deserved to get it.
Now we can see Broxah invading on towards Memento. Neither jungler really having too much impact in this early game, but there is that slight lead for Fnatic that we talked about. Still looking at Blanc and Heaq to be the main carries here for ROCCAT, but Memento is that facilitator for them. We need a good gank from the Sejuani could turn things around.
He missed number 6. I told you guys, you only hit 5. You never hit number 6.
It's true. Does the count start again now for Hylissang?
Yes, now starts back
0
from 1.
That's what... Things have changed. Things have changed since you were a support man.
Or if you hit in between 2 champions, that's technically a goal.
Oh, it's 3 points then.
Yeah, so that counts a bonus.
Yeah, it's like...
It's fine. Hylissang's doing everything perfect at the moment. Blanc in the mid lane is just, as we highlighted earlier, just farming against Caps. And again, Caps went back, got a Dark Seal, walked back to lane. Didn't want to use early TP. Knew that maybe he would get a gank against him, so he was forced back and could then actually TP back to lane without falling further behind. But it is a problem that Heaq is falling down in this lane. First back, though, could change it quite a bit and just make sure that you don't get hit by as many bindings.
Slowish early game here, but there's still a lot of potential for action as we crest this level 6 mark. Caps there, has the hero's entrance, can move to a side lane. sOAZ has the teleport and the feast as well.
Yeah, and one of the things about range support is they're so easy to gank. They're so squishy. Bot lane, if you get the same push for Rekkles and Hylissang with this combination, Caps puts a control ward to the bottom side of his mid lane with a little side brush. He walks down and he just ults straight in with Broxah, and they kill this bottom lane. They take turret, they shut Heaq and Norskeren down. It is definitely one of the things Fnatic can do with this draft. You can also go top side where you have Feast from Cho'Gath. It is harder to set up, so I prefer it on bottom side. And now we get the first back as well from AD carries. Rekkles loves to go tier 2 boots. In this case, gets a pickaxe as well due to some great farming. More attack speed, trying to push the lane as much as possible and set up this play with Galio plus the Kha'Zix.
Sheriff does have the BF sword for himself, so does have actually quite a bit of burst damage on the Xayah. If you can get those feathers pulled back through someone, you can just nuke them down.
So Heaq can trade very effectively, but Rekkles just wants to push the lane and get it onto the turret, and then he waits for Hylissang to land the binding. He knows not to just go in and take the 1v1 trade against a Janna shield Xayah. It's all about pushing for him in that bottom lane. Also, glacial augment from Hylissang, we saw this earlier. Now, one thing is, of course, if you get an auto attack, you slow them, you can easily land a binding, but that's not the main thing. It's the fact you're going to build one of my favorite items, Twin Shadows.
Spooky Ghost.
Spooky Ghost. So when you land the Spooky Ghost, it leaves a giant slowing field behind the enemy, and it's just a little bit of nice extra utility.
The slowing laser of doom, I think we'll call that one. I think that there's a development here for ROCCAT as well, because we're coming up towards the sort of end of the laning phase, end of the early game, towards mid-game. We've still got a few minutes left before we're really there, but ROCCAT's mid-game has been strong, and it's something we want to see them do consistently. The gank in mid lane isn't really going to pay off too much, as Caps can just hero's entrance away onto Broxah.
But to me, that was a bigger win than what maybe it looked like at first, because they got the Galio ulti.
Very good point.
Oh, bot lanes. This could have been a Galio ulti situation.
Norskeren with the cleanse away from the soul shackles. Here comes the ace in the hole. The ignite, the first blood. Rekkles secures it. Heaq getting caught out as well by Broxah. Featherstorm, but he's locked in place. The bindings connect. It's a double for Rekkles.
Listen, Morgana's the best support in the game if you hit every binding, or if you get hit by every single binding. Hylissang walks in, finds Norskeren, who even took cleanse, trying to avoid something like this from happening. And the Galio ulti was used defensively, meaning it couldn't come down and actually secure another kill for Fnatic, but they didn't even need it. Now to get bot lane turret damage. Memento's here, no ulti on his side.
They have a 30 CS lead in this lane as well. They're pushing the lane.
TP,
Teleport's coming in behind. Memento here doesn't have the
double
push of
TP.
Prison. There's the Black Shield, but that's going to be locked out. Call of the Forge got the ramming. Squad is here. They can't quite connect onto Hylissang. sOAZ there as well with the teleport. And ROCCAT will just force them away. sOAZ will be able to survive for now.
Oh, I missed it.
Up towards the side. The Broxah jumps in. The binding connects again, but the unstoppable Valkyrie comes out. Caps in from the back line to get the third kill for Fnatic.
Oh, we need the full replay of that from when the double TP starts, because everything just went wrong for ROCCAT. The angle of that Ornn ulti, because he was standing next to the wall, meant that he couldn't actually turn it enough to hit where Fnatic was moving towards their own turret, so it ended up not doing anything. Then he dives forward anyway to try and do something. Let's see the setup again. So this is the original one. Norskeren, flash cleanse ready, walks in. I'm not sure why he tried to do that, but allowed Hylissang to land a super easy binding. And then Norskeren ends up flashing, still gets stunned, and he's too low, so he can't do anything. Poor play from his side, and Hylissang even gets another binding.
It was a little bit of mispositioning from Heaq as well, because they had seen Broxah come in towards that position.
So ROCCAT's bot lane, not going to be happy. Hylissang, crazy, Bulgarian sniper, kills everyone. He controls bottom side completely. Now, double TP. Look at the angle on this Ornn ulti when it comes in. And because Ornn is right next to the wall, he can't actually move enough to completely turn it, so it will hit where Rekkles and Hylissang are moving. So he doesn't end up connecting, and then they dive forward, they get into a trap, Blanc misses the big one, probably wouldn't have killed sOAZ anyway, and then he ends up getting CC'd, and Caps walked all the way down and gets a free kill. So double TP used, lost your bot lane, lost your mid lane.
And lost your bot lane tower, because that's what Fnatic got off the end of this as well. 4,000 gold ahead, 12 minutes in.
I remember what we talked about in Champs League, how Fnatic's comp around Baron, oh my god, amazing. 5 traps, Cho'Gath feast, like it's so good at creating this little insane choke point that you just can't walk through because you get CC'd by one thing and you get CC'd by 10 other things right after. So when you give them, of course, early kills, early turret, well, they're gonna go towards that Baron in 8-10 minutes time, and it's where the comp is super, super good.
On the other side, though, we do have those 2 carries. We have Blanc, we have Heaq. They have fallen behind now, but they have a track record of doing very well. In Week 7, they were ahead in the early game. They had good KDAs, they had good damage a minute. Maybe that's not true right now, but they can scale into this game. It's a double AD carry comp, which does scale relatively well.
It does scale very well if they get to the late game. And that's kind of the key thing. But we said the same thing with HOK last game against G2. They got there. G2 couldn't get the Baron early enough. They chased for kills, they lost fights. ROCCAT can look to do the same. It's not as clear-cut in this game because the Cho'Gath makes it a lot easier to secure those Barons. And the siege of Morgana Caitlyn is also difficult to deal with. So it's not as easy for ROCCAT to just, you know, automatically win a fight on 3 items. Despite them having these 2 carries who need to scale, especially because Xayah, oh my god, she's so far behind.
40 CS. Infinity Edge already completed on Rekkles. Rod of Ages completed on Caps. No tier 3 items for ROCCAT yet.
And it's over 2,000 gold.
Oh, it's
between
monumental.
the 80 carries. Between just the 80 carries. Like, Rekkles on next back. He's gonna get his Zeal, for sure. He's gonna probably complete his Zeal item by the time Heaq gets his Essence Reaver and Boots upgraded, and that's it.
And you've got scaling on the side of Caps as well, who's got the Rod of Ages, just finished the tier. Top lane's pretty even, but as we said, that's just an island this game, not really much to be expected out of that.
But that's where I love the Cho'Gath, in Europe especially, and I feel like I actually want to see his win rate, because he's been so successful in so many games. He allows you to easily secure Baron, no chance or less chance of a smite still from the enemy jungler. He's great in these team fights where it's about killing front lines first, because he can just feast the front line, and he's so tanky on his own. He also brings silence, which is something we've actually removed from a lot of champions in the game, but it's still one of those mechanics that it's so impactful.
So debilitating.
Right.
It shuts you down. You cannot do anything.
You can't even flash, you know, like, you just like, you get silenced, you're like, oh, okay, I'm actually stuck, or at least I can't do anything for a moment other than walk. That's it. So I feel like Cho'Gath just offers so many things in a tank top meta, where some teams are giving him up for free, which I don't think they should.
Well, his win rate is 55.6%.
Hey, that's positive.
10 wins, 8 losses. For Fnatic specifically, 2 wins and a loss. So 66.6 recurring percent for them.
Well, I want to see.
It's a good
Is that 8.4 or all split?
That is all split long. I can look up 8.4 specifically if you wish. 83.3% Deficio, 5-1. Take a bow, take a bow.
8.4, man!
I'm going to pretend you hadn't already looked it up at any point.
So before we came into this, he was 100% win rate, but he lost the game today.
That is true. Fnatic going to secure the Rift Herald for themselves, 15 minutes in. Still a 5,000 gold lead for them, and that AD carry scaling up in the form of Rekkles. They're going to push towards this mid tower. It's a story we've seen time and time again from Fnatic. Get these towers early on. And sometimes they can close it out, sometimes it gets to that late game, and we see upsets time by time, sometimes, often. I didn't want to say time and time again, which I already just said.
Right. You remember?
So then I stuck on time by time.
Last split,
I do.
People pointed out that Caster said time and time again too much, and we all looked at each other and said, let's stop using that one. It kept sneaking in from time to time. But now I feel like you just brought it back, and now it's in my head as well.
I said it once.
But it has to be time and time again.
Yes.
That's the actual phrase.
That's the rule. If we make that, if we say that too often.
Whoever made that Reddit thread last year is now super triggered, because he actually won. He got us to stop saying it for a while.
Maybe we should start saying it.
And now it's back. Yeah. It's meta again.
It's like the time that everyone was saying Delta. There's a big delta between these two teams, and there's a big delta between Fnatic and ROCCAT at the moment, because Fnatic are at the top of the standings, ROCCAT sitting alone in 6th place. If they lose this game, they will be in a 5-way tie with Schalke and Giants and H2K and the Unicorns of Love playing for that final playoff berth.
And that's what we want. 5-way ties for the last playoff
I like the
spot.
3-way tie for 2nd place as well, because
two
of those guys, one of those guys, ROCCAT still has to face Misfits, sitting alone in 4th and 5th, and then H2K left on the menu for them. So it's a relatively difficult schedule for ROCCAT across the last 3 games of their split.
We've seen them time and time again.
We have so many times.
And make it into playoffs when we don't expect them to do it. Even though last time was 2016.
2015 actually was the last time ROCCAT made playoffs.
I just had to say something there to get time and time again.
We've seen them upset teams time and time again when it comes towards the end of a game.
We're probably the only ones who find this funny.
Yeah, no one else does. But sometimes you have to amuse yourself.
It's true. We can also laugh at the fact that ROCCAT's bot lane can't dodge bindings. You know.
They are 50 CS down in that lane as well.
Yeah, it's cost them quite a lot in this game. Now, remember guys, we're waiting for Baron. Have some patience. We want to see the 5-trap setup in this little entrance here to the Baron pit with the river. And then when someone steps in and think, maybe I can dodge around the trap, out of nowhere, a binding comes flying. That hits you in the face and you die. So that's what I'm waiting to see with this Fnatic draft. Because when it comes to pure team fighting, as we talked about, it can be difficult to execute with the Kha'Zix Galio.
That was clean.
Yeah,
that was smooth from Hylissang.
Soon we got Twin Shadows.
Yes!
I'm feeling it.
Even better. Spooky ghosts. You've got
spooky alien.
Void monster, I believe it is.
Oh.
Although this is Dark Star Kha'Zix, so yes. Spooky alien void monster. Going to take away this red buff, securing that top side of the map because that's where the Baron is. Or at least where the Baron is going to be. at the 20-minute mark. 2 items finished on the Caitlyn, only 1 on Heaq. Triforce as well for Blanc.
Now, Fnatic could also just play for the tier 2 turret.
Yeah.
Especially in mid with Kate and Morgana, because it's such a good siege comp. But there are no minion waves for them to actually catch in the mid lane just yet. They gotta wait for it, or go bot lane with sOAZ, who is currently fighting against Prophet.
He's gonna get away.
Yes.
This is gonna put a bit of
but there's a wave now. They can siege.
Staying around. Memento doesn't have the Glacial Prison back up yet. Can't throw some ice at the faces of Fnatic. Mid lane is being pushed in by Caps, who always has that ultimate to rejoin the fight if it starts somewhere else. Another binding from Hylissang. Definitely being on point with those this game. Just time and time again we see them connect to Deficio. And that's the last one, I promise. It's all of it.
The last one hitting, or?
Well, we'll see.
We'll see, we'll see. Mounted Drake is what Fnatic will get. Why not? You're already, you know, setting up to do a really nice Baron. Get a Mounted Drake, buff that up a little bit, and Fnatic are making sure they don't overcommit to anything just yet. They can, as we highlighted before, as we just saw bot lane, like, they can set up a good siege. You know, the traps lying out, long range Caitlyn to hit down the turret. It takes a bit of time to secure it. They have not been looking for any like tower dives. Despite actually having 1-3-1 and a Kha'Zix who could then sneak up to where the Galio is sitting and try and jump in and kill Blanc, they're not playing, you know, risky. Or they're not, I'm not going to call it greedy, because I think you can actually execute that style, but they're not taking any chances. Yeah. They're just kind of making sure they're ready for Baron.
And making sure that they can coordinate this team fight as the game progresses as well, because we said ROCCAT have probably an easier team fight to actually
in the
put the pieces together in the late game. Fnatic do have to make sure that all of those cogs combine in the right way. And to do that, they push ROCCAT back out. You can see ROCCAT tries to get some vision around the Baron as well, but it's not quite yet there for them. Banner finished on sOAZ and on Prophet as well. sOAZ is kind of an unsung hero of Fnatic a lot of the times. He does his job, Deficio, and his job tends to be just to sit in an island in a different lane.
Yeah, and he's just so creative with TPs and engages, which is what I really like about him. And we've seen it backfire a few times for sOAZ, but more often than not, we actually get to see some surprising engages where the enemy team does not expect it, and suddenly they get caught out from it. The Maokai game he had last week, where he was actually down quite a lot, but then he still managed to set up a lot of big plays for his team, really stood out to me of like a classic sOAZ game when he's playing towards, you know, his peak. They know it's not about putting sOAZ on a carry and trying to camp for him, because they have Caps and Rekkles. You don't need sOAZ to carry, you just need sOAZ to be a great tank player.
It's a very similar story with Broxah a lot of the time as well. People expect him to be the carry jungler for the team, even when he's playing something.
Siege round 2.
Kha'Zix, this is the siege. The banner minion was dematerialized by Prophet. Still got 3 stacks left on that. The only 3 for his team, though. And you can see that Fnatic are willing just to wait for this second tier of towers. They don't really need to do anything too hasty at the moment, because these towers will fall eventually to Rekkles' siege potential.
Oh, it's getting a pretty low. Prophet stepped on a trap. Don't do that.
Prophet gets away into the monsoon, though. And the tower still alive. You can shield towers as well, remember.
It's gonna die. Hylissang.
Hylissang gets knocked up. He will get away. The tower goes down, and with it, an 8,000 gold lead for Fnatic. Very strong position at the 22-minute mark, but they haven't won yet. And I feel like if this game had happened when the last game happened, when G2 played H2K, I'd be like, this is done. You know, Fnatic on the way to a perfect game. They get Baron, they win the game, it's done. It's over to Deficio, go next, right? FF. But you never know, because ROCCAT have the late game. They've got the double AD carries. They're scaling up, they're getting items. Yes, they're 8,000 gold behind, but just how much is 8,000 gold, Deficio? Just how much is it?
It's 8,000 gold.
But how much is that?
It's a lot of gold.
That's true, it's a lot of gold, but it doesn't mean the game is over yet.
I wish I could like say you can buy like a house for it or something, but it doesn't really work. So it's a lot of gold.
You can buy 2 big swords.
Yes, you could.
And I've never tried to buy a big sword in real life, but I'm sure they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, especially if they're like really well made.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, this one's made of infinity.
Yeah.
Its edge goes on forever.
That is definitely an expensive one. Or it's a fake one. Maybe if you don't feel like you deal any damage or something, the shopkeeper sold you like a fake sword.
I love this infinity edge, and he's just like, yeah, it's actually just really shiny, but you can pretend it goes on forever. Just like a knockoff sword, but...
Okay, let's see around Baron. ROCCAT, they know. So they have completely warded up their own jungle. Like 4 control wards placed around to try and buy as much time with this and stop Fnatic from getting control in it. At the moment, we know that Fnatic want to push mid, push top, get wards in the river, and then start setting up these traps around Baron if they actually feel like they can start it. And they have Cho'Gath, so they can. That's always the big thing for them. Want to see where Rekkles will place his traps? Because he had put them in the mid lane for control at the moment to just get mid lane push. Once they feel ready to do Baron, they're just going to move them over.
When are they going to be ready, though, Deficio? Because it's been 4 minutes since the Baron spawned. I'm getting a little apprehensive that Fnatic will never start the Baron. They'll just keep pushing waves and, you know, being boring. There has to be a point where they just call for that Baron.
I mean, you got 3 items on your AD carry, so just depending on how much gold. Like, okay, Cap's sitting on 2,200 gold, so obviously he can go back first and spend it. But I feel like at this point, they are ready. Like, they can start the Baron here and look for the pick, and not necessarily finish the Baron, but just turn and catch that one guy with the trap or with the binding, and then you actually secure a kill for yourself. So I think it's fine to look for more like this into the jungle, but then you got to fully commit in with actually a lot of wards available, so you can take over this side. Otherwise, ROCCAT is never going to get caught out in the jungle itself.
Still only that 50 CS lead between Rekkles and Heaq. That hasn't extended any further. 20 CS in the mid lane as well. But ROCCAT will be not comfortable in this situation, but happy that Fnatic haven't forced anything yet.
Yeah, this is the moment for ROCCAT where all they're saying is just don't lose Baron. Yep. It's literally the most important thing. Keep putting all your defensive vision on that side. Keep pushing mid and top as often as you can, and just keep getting gold. Because their way to win is not taking a fight now. Like, look how far ahead on items Rekkles is currently. Like 3.5 fully complete items to 2 on the side of Heaq. So taking a fight now sucks for ROCCAT. And that's why they hope Fnatic decides to do nothing. But Fnatic shouldn't, of course, do nothing.
Caps has got his double needlessly large rod as well, building into a Rabadon's, and most importantly, Deficio.
Spooky Ghost.
Spooky Ghost is complete on him.
More pick potential.
Well. Have to see if that Laser of Doom does
remember,
to the Rift.
Glacial Augment applies that little slow field after you hit the Spooky Ghost, because it's an item that slows down someone. And that,
here we go.
Yeah, there you go, you see.
Didn't actually apply that time. Must have already been applied recently.
Oh, so it must have been on cooldown.
Yeah, it must have been on cooldown. Does go on cooldown, of course.
What is the cooldown on it?
It's a certain amount of time.
Correct.
Thanks. I don't know.
Oh, no, because it's a Sejuani, so...
Oh, she can't be slowed. Yeah, of course she can't be slowed.
Haha, we knew that all along. Yeah. We're just kind of testing everyone at home.
Playing with you guys.
Stop tweeting at us, we know.
I knew it the entire time. I didn't have production whispering in my ear.
Wait, I didn't have that.
I had it as we were saying that we knew it the entire time.
Okay, I did not have that. I just realized. So...
it would have been good if you'd known from the start, Deficio.
Yeah, but I mean...
You can't know every interaction in the game.
Well, clearly I did, because I pointed it out. It just didn't jump forward to me instantly.
Yes, it wasn't on the tip of your tongue.
Maybe I thought that Norskeren got hit, and he didn't. Anyway, Fnatic, get a Drake. Soon, Baron. I promise you guys, soon.
Sure. You promised me this for a while, and I'm starting to feel like it might not happen, Deficio. I'm starting to feel like
someone has to go there.
Fnatic might just somehow find a pick and then win the game without taking the Baron, which would be good for us because it means that every team that's taken a Baron today has been on the red side, and we wouldn't want to ruin that stat.
Oh, so not a single blue
side Baron has happened today. This would be the first if it was to happen. Cloud Drake is secured by Fnatic. They now have double Cloud and a Mountain. Infernal up next.
So I assume also red side would be 4-0 today.
I do not know that.
Would just be weird if you won a game without getting a Baron. Doesn't
that's
happen
true. I assume
often.
they're 4-0 as well. We can look back down the scores, but that's a lot of effort. Not going to do that right now.
So Fnatic setting up for no Hylissang might get cut out. What happens?
He's got the...
He got the Black Shield.
Black Shield. It's going to fall off eventually. There's the Glacial Prism. And Hylissang flashes it. Root lands.
I like this play from ROCCAT though, because they're punishing Fnatic for being sloppy here. Oh, there you go. See. There it is. But Hylissang walks in alone into the enemy jungle when his AD carry is killing wards inside the Baron pit. So that's obviously not the way you're supposed to play it. And I like that ROCCAT are just committing to force him out, get his flash, try and buy a bit more time. But it's still Fnatic with the control.
And gold lead's just extending. It's almost 10,000 gold ahead for Fnatic now. Rabadon's death cap completed on Caps. 3 items, as we say, on Rekkles as well. ROCCAT are very far behind.
And they can two-man this. Like, Cho'Gath and Caitlyn together can just start the Baron, and then everyone else just forces them away. Hit it, sOAZ. Hit it!
There we go. Said it was going to happen. Fnatic going to try and secure it. Memento does have the flash. Red team's 4-0 in games and every Baron, but Caps is going to stand in his way. Memento flashes away. The shot comes in, but he can't quite secure it. And Fnatic get the Baron, and they get a kill for themselves as well.
There we go. Fnatic, it's not about rushing forward and getting kills anymore. They're trying to play a lot more slow. They set up good vision. They had control of the Baron pit. They knew they could start it with the Cho'Gath, and eventually they're just executing. And as we said with the Cho'Gath, it's not a 50-50 smite when the jungler gets in there. Like, it's really hard to actually steal it against Cho'Gath teams. So Fnatic secure the Baron.
And ROCCAT secure a not perfect game.
Ah, that's also an achievement.
It is. It's important to do these things, you know. Stop the enemy team from perfect gaming you. You get a tower for yourselves. It's a little bit of gold, yes, but now we do have Banner of Command on sOAZ. That's coming off cooldown, so he'll look to push in with one of those Bob minions.
Probably use the bot lane, right?
The Bruce Banner minion. Because it's a Hulk. Okay, sure. That was funnier than you give it credit for.
That was the one you stole from Twitter, wasn't it?
No.
Yeah, you literally admitted last game you stole it from Twitter, but you just forgot it.
Yes, I did.
So I'm not going to give you any credit. I'm going to write to that person instead and write, haha.
That would be very kind of you. Caps, level 18, has been getting a lot of side wave experience. 2 levels ahead of Blanc. 2 levels ahead of anyone in the game. He's in a very strong position. Haven't really seen that Kha'Zix Galio combo that we perhaps expected to happen, but they haven't needed to do it.
Yeah, we haven't seen a full-on team fight because that's not what Fnatic are looking to do. It's just constant, like, siege with these multiple picks or pick abilities, and then great objective control, which is exactly what that comp is built towards. We talked about it in Champs League, we talked about it in this game, and we've now seen it in action as well. So we're just kind of waiting for them to break open at least one lane. Caps getting some damage on top turret. Rekkles will do the same mid, and Prophet is trying his best to kill this cannon.
No dematerializer left on him, so that cannon's going to stay alive for quite a while. We'll be able to...
I'm going to say roughly 2 seconds. Ah, died.
Mid lane inhibitor tower does go down, and ROCCAT are just ceding ground time and again. Almost did it again there.
See, now it's in your head, man.
It's in my head. I can't get it out of my head, Deficio. Rekkles is going to be able to secure the mid lane inhibitor. This is clean stuff from Fnatic. This is what you want to see from a team that's already locked into playoffs. Strong, consistent performance by them, and really no way for ROCCAT to answer.
No, and that's the best thing. They're not giving ROCCAT a chance right now to get back in the game. Heaq is still trying to get some items. Poor guy, man. With 31 minutes in, and he's still not sitting on 3 items. Meanwhile, Rekkles 4 fully completed ones. And 2,000 gold on the Caitlyn. It's actually insane. I think so. Rekkles is 5k gold ahead of Heaq.
That's just massive. I mean, they've got a 14,000 gold advantage, but this is such an important game as well for Fnatic here, because winning this puts them that 2-game cushion, which is so good for them. It means they're probably going to be able to lock in that first spot and a bye to the semi-finals and a game at least in Copenhagen. ROCCAT, on the other hand, will fall down to that 6th spot. The Call of the Forge God's going to come in from the side as ROCCAT just try and do something into the faces of Fnatic, but Caps says, oh no you don't, he stands firm. And Broxah, meanwhile, in the bottom lane is going to get an inhibitor tower. Look at the damage on Norskeren!
Yeah, but ROCCAT is so far behind.
Disgusting! Heaq pops down the feather, saw Memento looking for the engage, but inhibitor's just going to fall here. Prophet walks forward, the soul shackles come out. And Fnatic don't even need to engage to win these fights.
ROCCAT can never actually get the carries forward to deal damage. Memento's dead.
A delicious feast for sOAZ. 1-0-1 on this Cho'Gath. He has done his job.
It's just a complete stomp because ROCCAT's draft here, it's falling way too far behind. It all started in the bottom lane where 5 bindings in a row hit from Hylissang that we saw on screen at least. They took full control of the laning phase. They didn't get that double kill where Hylissang sets it up against Norskeren first, and it just snowballs from there. And Fnatic just executed so well in this game. ROCCAT, like, they're trying now, but just don't have the damage.
And they're going to get caught out once again as Prophet falls. Fnatic trying to finish this game without losing a single man. Caps there in the front line as well, and Heaq just gets destroyed. Blanc trying to jump away as well. Hylissang with the binding doesn't connect onto Norskeren. The redemption comes out, but there's no redeeming this ROCCAT lineup. Fnatic, the flash, the winds of war. It's a killing spree for Caps. ROCCAT just have no way to go. Back to the fountain, they say. A double for Caps. Fnatic lock it down 10-0 as they secure their spot at the top of the EU LCS.
not really possible to find anything to criticize, you know, Fnatic for in this game. They played it slow, they played it safe, they knew exactly what to do to get the Baron and what to do once they got the Baron. ROCCAT on the other side. We talked a lot about Blanc and Heaq, you know, if they get to late game, they can try and rival Captain Rekkles. Memento, normally good control in the early game, but we just never got to a point where we really could talk more about them or see more from them because they felt that far behind early, and it was just, it felt like a matter of time before Fnatic got the Baron and then would take the base. And when you play, you know, double AD carry scaling, it's like, okay, great. If you get to the late game, it's super good. Yeah, if you never get there, if your AD carry is 5k gold behind the 30 minutes, like, you can't obviously win fights.
The enemy mid lane is level 18 at 30 minutes as well. You know you're not in the best of spots. And what I like about Fnatic in that game was how little they fought. And that's as odd as a play-by-play caster, because I like fights, I like action. I had a cool name for the Galio ulting on top of a Kha'Zix. It's all planned in my head.
You want to share it?
No, no, no. We're going to save it for the future if it happens.
Not the submarine, right?
No, it's not the submarine. What I like from Fnatic is the fact they didn't need to fight. They knew exactly how to push, how to pressure, how to take these towers.
It's the new Fnatic.
It's the new Fnatic.
It's what YoungBuck wanted from this team. It's what they've been talking about, you know, with him joining, being there with Dylan Falco, and kind of the style they want to play, and executed really well in this one. While ROCCAT on their side, not the end of the world. Because they look at the schedule with the 4 games remaining, and it's not the Fnatic game they're looking at saying, ah, easy win, you know, we got it. No, it's the next few games they're playing. They got H2K next week. That's a key matchup for them.
They've still got Vitality and Misfits as well, though, Deficio.
I know, but it's easier to beat Vitality and Misfits than Fnatic.
Oh, I totally agree.
If you're ROCCAT, that's still the goal for you, like coming in. You know you have to beat H2K for sure if you want to make playoff. And you probably have to beat at least either Misfits or Vitality to be in the running for a tiebreaker. I don't think they came in saying we're of course going to take down Fnatic. So this should not change too much in terms of their mindset. They are still very much in the race for playoffs, and they just need to bounce back tomorrow.
Yep, just need to work out exactly what went wrong. Maybe it was draft, maybe it was the way that they played that bot lane as well.
The bot lane was a giant issue this game.
Yes, it was. And a lot of that was Hylissang playing very well, but also mistakes coming out from ROCCAT, you have to expect. The question I think then becomes, if you're looking at those bot 5 teams, if you're looking at, you know, ROCCAT, Giants, H2K, Unicorns of Love, and Schalke, who's not getting it? Because you've only got one spot. There's 4 of those teams aren't going to make it, and we keep saying they can bounce back, they can bounce back.
Because they can.
4 teams aren't making it to playoffs, Deficio.
Ooh, nope. And predicting the one team to make it in at the moment seems impossible.
I totally agree with you. I just wanted to see if you do it.
I think we're going to talk about it in the post-game lobby.
We definitely will. Don't forget to share your pick for player of the game at LOL eSports. This time it stands between Rekkles, Broxah, and Hylissang. I know we have an interview with Rekkles and Hylissang coming up in just a couple of moments' time.
Ooh, so do you give it to the person who set up all the kills, or the guy who got all the kills?
You give it to Hylissang. He was a god. He landed every binding. Every binding apart from those 2 that we missed. But to get more insight on Fnatic's win, here's Pyro with their bot lane.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yeah, I'm here with 2 player of the game candidates, so we'll see who ends up taking that one away. But first of all, you win this game very cleanly. You guys are in the playoffs, guaranteed already. You're 2 games up on everyone. It feels like you're cruising on easy street. How does it feel after this win?
Yeah, it feels pretty good to be locked in playoffs. We will kind of learn it today that we're actually in playoffs. Feels really nice, and I guess winning over ROCCAT was nice, but I feel like they had to win really badly, so it feels actually a bit bad for them. But yeah, it feels nice to win anyway, so yeah.
Certainly does, and it was nice to see you be able to pull out an old favorite as well. You grabbed the Morgana again, you were hitting bindings left and right, and then I remembered, oh yeah, this is what Unicorns Hylissang used to do. Rekkles, you mentioned you're almost worried for a second when he locked it in. Did you feel that after like just a couple more hits that, oh no, never mind, he's a god on this?
So basically, pretty much the entire year actually, late game has been a thing where you've just picked champions that work really well after like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, and that has won a lot of games. So I was a bit worried today when we were planning on playing Morgana, because I knew that they had the chance of going Janna, and Morgana into Janna late game doesn't sound too fancy, but after, I think it was already level 1 or level 2 maybe, he got something really good, and then we got the summoners of Heaq. I realized that I was going to have a really good time with Hylissang next to me, so I was happy about it.
It was definitely off to the races after that. Now, this has already been so different than what we saw last week. There were some really crazy games. You guys had a tough loss versus Misfits and then stole a win from Vitality. What did you do to tighten up your play so cleanly this week?
So I think it's been pretty clear over the last couple of weeks that we haven't been doing that well early game. So we've put a lot of focus on picking champions that can contest, for example, mid 2v2 or top 2v2 to make sure that we get some sort of pressure somewhere. Also playing better bot lane matchups. I think I spent maybe too much time focusing on the Sivir because I felt like Sivir was one of those champions that excelled so much in the late game that I kind of forgot that bot lane priority is important as well, as you could see this game. So I think we just put a lot of focus on the early game in general, and I think it looked better today. Like maybe not as clean as I would have liked it to, because I think we could have pushed our lead harder than we did. I think we kind of slowed down there for like 10 minutes in the middle of the game, but much better still than last week. So I think we're on the right track forward.
Certainly looks that way. Now, you guys have really kind of developed as not just a team, but particularly the duo of you two. Can you tell me a little bit about what that's been like kind of growing together as a pair?
Well, it was actually really hard in the beginning. We have really different play styles between me and Martin, and it was kind of a struggle in the beginning of who is going to follow who. Am I going to like just focus on farming and scale, or is he going to like play more like all in and just try to kill enemy in laning phase? So we kind of like end up with a plan that we kind of need to like do something in between, and I think that shows up in the games that we have 10 times better in laning phase, like the latest games, than in the first games we played in the split. And yeah, it goes really well, and we are learning as a duo really quick.
Certainly, and not a moment too soon, since you guys are heading, of course, towards playoffs. Now, you still have a couple more teams on your plate. You have Unicorns of Love tomorrow. You're going to be facing a few other teams towards the middle of the table to round out your regular split performance. Are you approaching those games any differently than you normally would, considering you're already locked in?
So right now, we're not really thinking too much about our state in the league, because I think we got really held up with that last year, where we were just focused on like who we were going to play in which game, and then we kind of forgot about what was actually going on here and then. So we've been really focused on like winning every game, regardless of who we're playing against. But now that it's looking like we are almost secured top 2 already, as long as we get one more win, if I'm not mistaken, I think we're maybe gonna try some more stuff on stage, because I think we're really just kind of playing for wins right now, and I think we could be much more experimentative than we are currently. So we'll see about that. I don't know exactly what our coaching staff has in mind, but I think we can definitely try some stuff out if we already locked in first, for example. I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, I really like that answer, because I know that you may not be able to reveal any particular secrets, but if there's something that you guys would be allowed to play, I'm not saying that the coaches would definitely let you do, if there's any champions, any strats that you guys would want to try, what would it be?
Kai'Sa.
Oh, a little soon, right?
Or Vayne, yeah, Vayne would be nice. Okay. Well, Kai'Sa is disabled, I think, for next week and maybe playoffs as well. So it will probably have to be Vayne if I got the choice of playing an AD carry. But yeah, it's really up to the coaching staff. If they want us to just continue getting the wins on the board, then I think we'll just do so. But I think it's a good idea if we're secured first to try our grounds a little bit and see what we can make up for.
Yeah, scientific, definitely not trolling, right? So Hilly, is there a champion that you would want to play if you absolutely just didn't have to worry about anything for the next couple games?
Maybe bot.
Ooh, okay. All right, well, hey, you know, anything can happen, right? I'm looking forward to it. Of course, you are going to be playing off against your old team as well, and even though Unicorns weren't necessarily able to grab themselves a win, are you guys worried at all about this team going up ahead? It always seems like a crazy bout when it's Unicorns versus Fnatic.
So I think Unicorns has been pretty good, actually, the entire split. They just didn't get the wins on the board, so people were kind of counting them out, but I think they've always been pretty good, so I wouldn't say it's going to be an easy game by any means. So I don't think we'll like go into the game expecting us to just win by being Fnatic. I think we're just going to try as hard tomorrow as we did today. So I wouldn't be too worried. I think we're just a step above most teams in LCS right now, including the Unicorns. So if we do things the way we usually do them, I think we should be able to get ahead with another win. And that win should mean that we're clear top 2 or maybe clear top 1. So that would be a nice way to end week 8.
Certainly would. Now, one step ahead, you guys just got to keep stepping to make it all happen. So thanks again for joining me, guys. Congratulations on your victory here today.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to go ahead and send it off to Dracos and the EU LCS post-game lobby.